Hey, what's up? It's Cowboy. It is 8:31 AM EST. Took a second to get started. I actually had to restart my machine. I did a Windows update. Every time I do a Windows update, I end up with audio issues, And so, fortunately, I was testing everything before the show, realized I had such issues, got that fixed ahead of time, and was able to start relatively on time. All right, good. So we're on, we're Rumble, Twitch, or not Twitch, Rumble, YouTube, X, we're everywhere. And so if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. If you want me to take a look at a particular chart, you want me to take a look at Bitcoin, which is what I'm going to do anyway. But, any crypto, Forex, stocks, whatever, right? You want to look at freaking coffee, we'll look at coffee, whatever it is. Come on into the chat at YouTube, ask the question. I don't really have visibility into other chats. Rumble is supposed to actually chat in this in here, so I don't know what's up with that. I don't know why Rumble is not doing that, but looks like that is a Rumble thing that Rumble has to solve. So if you look at the charts here, yesterday, you will have noticed that I marked these lines out, and I did this during our live show. And these lines are liquidity areas, right? I took a look at the Kingfisher live for everybody to see. I marked out some areas where there was liquidity below price. This is where on the leveraged exchanges, people's stop losses, actually really their liquidations were. Now, back in my day of trading Bitcoin leverage, and I still do here and there, but back in my day of using isolated leverage, I used to actually kind of choose the amount of leverage that I used based on having my stop loss just above my liquidation point, right? I used to kind of cut it close. And that's a little detail. That's a little crazy. Not to say that everybody is doing that, but the liquidity is where price is going to get pushed. That's where people's liquidations are, especially obviously with your leveraged trades, almost always going to be like that. But what it means is that people went long, right? And when people go long, they're going to have stop losses and they're going to have liquidation points that are usually kind of similar to that. So fortunately in cryptocurrency, through the Kingfisher.io, we have visibility for such things. You can even get free credits from the Kingfisher.io. If you want to use Kingfisher, there is a link in the description. And this might put me through the spin again game where they just make you spin over and over again. I'm not going to make you watch me do that. But let's do this. Let's grab a new look at the liquidity profile for Bitcoin. No, I hate when it does that. Get liquidity map. I have credits. I don't know what's going on here. Am I not logged in? Okay, there we go. Looks like there's a fair amount of liquidity still at 63, right? It's actually closer to 63,100 now. Yesterday it was at 63,000. Not that big of a difference at all in the way things go. And now these prior areas that I laid out, the liquidity price literally went to those like clockwork yesterday. Stopped a lot of people out. I was in a Solana trade before this breakdown. And, truth is that Solana looked like it was going to do fine, provided that Bitcoin remained stable. But once Bitcoin started to drop out, I was able to exit Solana at a micro profit just because all the reasons I got into this Solana trade were no longer there, right? So if I get into a trade and then there's a shift in the market, then I look for a way to get out of the trade while still not losing money. That's how I roll, right? So, and that's what I did. And fortunately, I was able to make just a micro profit, enough to cover fees, maybe, buy myself a very cheap hamburger. That was that, right? So all of that to say, Bitcoin is retracing, but we do see on the wider picture here that Bitcoin has these liquidity grabs. We had this grab back on the 5th of March where price went down about 15%. And it looks like price did about the same, but a little bit less than 15. Let's see what it did this time around. About the same amount of percentage. This time 11% it went down. So now the historical pre-halving retracements are 20 to 30%, but again, That's based on very weak data points and not very many data points. So I probably wouldn't count on seeing something like that. I would think I would have the odds in favor of seeing something like that, certainly, but I wouldn't count on it. We're not doing it's not a very robust back test to rely on. All right, good. So that's Bitcoin. I would be looking at right now. Again, 63,000 is a good destination in the short term, right? Bitcoin could hang out where it is. Let me take just a quick look at the Algos. Let's see what we got. Yeah, Bitcoin, I think, needs to. I don't think it's going to go up right away. It might be done going down. It probably isn't, though. Like, if I had to take a guess, I'd say there's a little bit more cooling off that Bitcoin needs to do, based on what I'm seeing in the charts here. So I think 63,000 is actually pretty realistic in the short term. And by the way, the low 50s is very realistic. That would be a nice pre-halving pullback, and that would be, although a little deeper than a lot of people are planning. Is there liquidity down there? Let's see. I'm sure there is. Oh yeah, there's liquidity. A lot of it at 57, 51.5, and 45.8. Now I don't know that price is going to go down there, but I will mark these levels out. We said 57, right? 54.5. And then what was it? 49.8, did we say? 51.5. 57, 50. We'll fix that. 51.5. And then we have 45.8. Okay. So there we go. And 45.8. We'll throw that on there. Okay. All right. So these are all levels to which BTC could fall, and 63 is the most likely. So now the speed with which Bitcoin falls to these, if it should fall at all, would dictate what the altcoins would do. If Bitcoin kind of hangs out and doesn't really crash down that hard, maybe it slowly makes its way down with a lot of stability, there's actually a decent chance that alts could do well at that point, because price discovery. See, price discovery is playing out for Bitcoin, so that would be a good thing. Let's look at Solana. We'll just review what's going on with that while we're kind of waiting for Bitcoin to make its choice. And the alt market will oftentimes be a good clue as to what is going on. And we can see that Solana has held up, fortunately. So the move down in Bitcoin has not been so violent that it's really pulled Solana traders out of their trades. And again, I would be either just like right in profit, or I took profit after price went up a little bit and got me back to break even. That's when I pretty much got out of this trade. So that's fine. That's good. Let me see. Actually, you know what? Look at that. That's okay. So 22. Price actually came down after I went out of it. So my entry was somewhere around here, around this 174, 175. And then there's a nice move up, you can see, to like 187. And then price came back down with the first kind of Bitcoin, move down. And then it came back up. And then right around here in this area was my entry. And I went ahead and got out. Like I said, Bitcoin was behaving in ways that was changing the market. So because, Bitcoin was no longer doing, what I was expecting, was no longer behaving in such a way that was predictable. The reasons for which I got into the trade no longer existed. That means that I no longer existed in that trade. And that just means that's the end of the trade for me. So I got out, and like I say, I was able to do well, because I would have lost money. The price would have kept going down. I'd be in the negative. Now, I would not have stopped out. My stop out was actually lower than all of this, but by the same token, I would have to sit here through the pullbacks and a bit of uncertainty, and those are not things you want to sit through. So, Solana though, like I say, it is holding strong considering what Bitcoin is doing. Solana is holding strong, and it looks like it's building a bit of a range. So we could look at price from a predictability standpoint to bounce back and forth in this area, right? And possibly consolidate. We'll see. We'll see how it behaves. It's not a very well established range at all. It's just starting. It's showing promise. That's where I'll leave that with that. Now, if you are in the comments or if you're watching, especially if you're on YouTube, please like, please subscribe. We don't have a big crowd today, but we have enough to where I don't see a whole lot of likes, but I see enough people watching. So please smash the like button. All right, helps us out. And also, if you have a request, you have a chart that you want to see, let me know what that chart is. I shall look at that chart. The euro was interesting yesterday. So just like right now, we just had some economic data come out. And I took this euro short yesterday, and I was cautious because the euro really likes to do liquidity grabs. It likes to jump in one direction and then jump back in the opposite direction very quickly with the idea of gathering liquidity, right? So my trade yesterday looked something like this. I got in a little bit late because of it was what was that data that came out? The PPI, right? And then my profit target was, I don't know if my profit would have been met or not. I'm not looking at the actual chart and where my profit was. I think it might have been taken though, because I was like a 2-to-1. So had I just stuck with it, I would have won. But the problem was that the euro was headed down, and it was at the time taking its time to get past this resistance. And what I wanted to do was to let price go down, pull back, maybe do like a bearish retest, and then grab that short. That was the plan. And it never did what I needed it to do. So there was no trade. And that's fine. It's not a big deal. It's the market just going to do what it wants to do. But I was thinking that we might get a pullback to at least here, or even possibly up here, or even anywhere in this area, get a pullback and then look for another short. And I guess you could say we just saw it right now in this move. And again, the data came out this morning. It's a Friday. I might actually enter a short right now. Let me see what this is doing right here. Give me a moment to take a look. Yeah, no, I cannot enter a short at this time. Even though it's probably not the worst idea, I need some things to line up for me to enter a short. So not able to do it, but that's fine. I'll probably find a short coming up here pretty soon. There'll be an opportunity. So, but there's a good chance it will continue down from here. But let me go back out to this bigger screen. So it seems as if price right now probably is going to create a bit of a range because there are a lot of conflicting forces. There's up and down at the same time. So and I'm drawing this without really. This has not been established. Okay, this range I just drew, not established at all. I would need to see some more price action to actually say, oh well, hey, look, it's a range now. Like that's not the case, but it could do this. So I will have my eye out for that, and then if that happens, I'll be able to say, okay, well, the overall picture says it's going to go this direction, and then we can play the range breakout. But we are not there right now. So give me just a moment. What's going on here? I'm on another screen right now. Give me a second to fix something. Okay, good. Okay, so yeah, again, it may just go down from here. It might range. One of those two things. There is a lot of liquidity in this area, and I think that price does want to grab some of this liquidity. The question is it going to go through that and head down for further liquidity, like continue this move down, or is it going to grab that and then bounce up? That's the real question. And if I had to answer that right now, I would say Mufasa, yes. I would say it would maybe head down from there. It's hard to say. That's a tough one. It's mixed. It's a mixed market. So, Cool Cat wants to see Ethereum / Bitcoin. All right, let's do that. Yeah, I mean, let's say Ethereum slash Bitcoin has been stable since, I mean, it's been really, let me delete this here, remove that. It's not something I would trade. It's just, that's not something I would trade at all. And there's nothing really to say about it. It's just, you know, because a lot of people are not trading it, it's not something that I would really try to like chart per se. It just doesn't look like it's going anywhere. It looks like Ethereum has been performing better against Bitcoin since November. I guess maybe Denkun might have had an effect. I'm not seeing like a whole lot of effect from Denkun, which was what Denkun was Wednesday. That was an upgrade on Ethereum that was supposed to reduce gas fees, and I think it did reduce gas fees. But um, I wouldn't even know where to begin with this. I could just tell you that it looks like it's like Ethereum has been performing over time since late November, along with Bitcoin. Right. That's about all I can give you on that. I'm not, there's not a lot of people are trading this pair anymore. We're not in 2017. But I know a lot of people like to look at this. But I don't see anything significant in this box. It looks like they're moving at a similar pace to each other. That's just what it looks like to me. Now, Ethereum USD is another story. Looks like Bitcoin's liquidity has affected it. Let's look at up to here. Okay, so we're going to look for, I mean, we've already seen a bit of a 382 pullback on this impulse up, but the problem was that pullback happened because of Bitcoin. And the same is with this, though. So Ethereum right now, as we saw in the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, Ethereum is really pacing with Bitcoin, which is why that's not changing over there. There's not a lot of volatility in the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. So, that's why perhaps, every Bitcoin move is going to affect Ethereum. And I mean, it's how it is anyway, but it seems like they're just pacing. So at this point, though, a couple ways to look at this. You could try to use this larger extension to grab a 382 pullback or even like a different fib retracement, or you could look at this kind of more recent move up from that Bitcoin pullback that crushed Ethereum down and then came back up. And then it's almost to the 618 right here. So that, you might be in a position to capitalize. We'll see about it. We'll really see what Bitcoin does. If Bitcoin does roll down to grab those lower liquidity levels that I mapped out 10 minutes, 15 minutes ago, then of course, Ethereum probably will follow. But if Bitcoin does that slowly, if Bitcoin kind of hangs out in a range and if it goes down, but it goes down slower, it doesn't go down at all, then I think you'll see certain altcoins start to pop off. At this point in the cycle, if Bitcoin gets stable, the altcoins are the party, right? All parties. So just looking for Bitcoin to calm down right now. All right. Well, that's that. Let's take a look at gold, see what it's doing. If you have any other requests, let me know. Gold calming down, but it's calming down at a very slow rate. I would almost say, look, this is all-time high sort of material for gold, right? Seeing all-time highs. So this might form some kind of flag. We'll see. It hasn't really formed it yet, but if price comes down on this channel, then there's a likelihood it'll come back up. The question is whether or not gold is strong enough to eclipse. I mean, sure, it broke the high, it's staying up above. The question is, how soon does it continue up? We have some answers to that in the private live lab, where we talked about that yesterday. So interesting stuff there. But yeah, gold seems like it's probably going to flag down and then pop back up. And it could even come back to retest the top of this multi-year consolidation that we saw going back to 2020. So very, very, very possible we see something like this, just kind of meander down and then like so. Very possible. Gold is notorious for the liquidity grabs. It's like the euro. Likes to grab that liquidity, buy the what. Okay, so let's take a look at our usual suspects. Pepe. I know people want to see Pepe. No change in Pepe. Not in the last couple of days. Seems to have cooled off, at least for now. So our 382 pullback would be down to 665. It is now 879. What's my, okay, that's legit. So Pepe is nothing exciting right now, but you know what? Bitcoin's pulling everything down. So when Bitcoin deflates, the market deflates along with it for the most part. You do have some exceptions. Let's take a look at crypto bubbles and see what's what. And we got to wait for the site to wake up. Okay. Yeah, lots of red. Lots of red on the day. The week does have some coins that are actually doing really well. Ton, Floki, Cake, Pith, Near, Whiff, BNB, Rune, the Graph, Solana. So these are coins that have been resilient despite what's been going on with Bitcoin. So, it's always a good sign. Like I used to, back in the day when I was doing a ton of spot crypto trading, just nonstop, I would look to spot coins that held up during Bitcoin, say Bitcoin pullbacks, bearishness, whatever the term is you want to use. But when Bitcoin pulled back hard and the other coins would actually stay strong, to me, that was like a nice stress test. Like, okay, these coins are holding up, so they're probably going to be strong. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's, we got Jupiter, Cake, is it Jupiter? I think it is. Gala, Maker's just been constantly at the top of that list. Maker and Gala, Ton, beautiful. I think that's, we talked about Ton yesterday. AVAX, of course. So let's take a look at the hot ones. Let's look at Ton, Maker, Gala, and Near. We don't have time for all of them. We'll start with Ton. Okay, so Ton's retracing. Ton is obviously doing great on the week, but I would not be surprised with the way that the market is right now to see Ton head back down and grab some liquidity at the high 290s. Maybe just something like this. And it might not even go that far down. It could just simply go here and then head up. It's very likely something like that. But we'll see. I'm spitballing at this point. And again, a lot of this has to do with what Bitcoin does. Simple as that. It's going to want to follow Bitcoin. It's just, we know the game by now. Bitcoin is the king, right? Like, we know how this works. Bitcoin pushes on everything. Altcoins are just altcoins. Let's see what we got in the comments. Okay, we're still clean. Let's look at Maker. Okay, they're not calling it that anymore. MKR. Been around for a long time. Maker. Holding up very nicely. Look at that. Look at Maker crushing back up. That's strong. Yeah, Maker is strong. We don't have enough data yet, but it might be that we see price create a range maybe up in this area and consolidate and rise. It's very possible. So that's what we might see. We'll see how Maker does. Front did well during the dump. Yeah, we'll see what Front does. Wow. Well, Front, I wouldn't even touch Front. This is obviously very FOMO-ish. I do our our 382s on that one, gentlemen. That's just straight FOMO, no opportunities. Your prior highs for front are going to be, this prior bull market, 227, 227, and it spiked up very briefly to about 875, but that spike up was super brief. But you know what? It went there. So that's your all-time high. And there's a lot of space in between that. So ton of space. So it may be that, price makes its way back up to $8 or $9. But again, there's so few bull markets, right? Like, oh, my palm is itching. That means I'm supposed to make money. My palm's itching. That usually means that's like a Serbian thing. I'm not Serbian, my wife is, but if your palm is itching, I think it depends which palm. Some say left, some say right. Like, it's like, oh, if your left hand's itching, the money comes into that hand. And then so, well, what if both hands are itching? Like, well, okay, only my right hand's itching, so I guess the money comes in that hand. I don't know. But front might do well. Front could be like a times 10. Possible. Well, from this, times 5. It's going to go to a prior all-time high, like around $9. It's currently at $1.70, so it might be like a times 5. But yeah, man, it did well. It's for sure. Been looking at those 382 pullbacks. That's what I'm looking at. All right, so we're at the end of the show. I am going to switch over to the Telegram room, but I didn't, what I've been doing is starting the show and not talking about what we do. I just want to jump into the charts, see if we can help some people out, answer some requests. But what we do over at Algo Factory is we teach people how to build their own trading algorithm. It's simple. It's just old school trading. It doesn't have to be something where you computerize it, right? Like that's later. We're not here, to try to teach you how to code and do all that. What we do is we get you on the path, and then the best thing you probably can do is find a coder just to code it for you, unless you really want to learn how to code. But writing an algorithm that can be coded is a skill, and writing an algorithm that works under any circumstance is a skill. And there are a lot of components to that, and we teach those components over at algofactory.tech. So zap the QR code, top right-hand side of the screen. Gorilla is not here, so I have to say what he would normally say, and I shall use a meme. Here you go.
Join us or die.
All right. Hope to see you over there at algofactory.tech. Remember to trade your job, upgrade your life, and we shall see you on the next one.